Hi, this is Richard, and we're just going to pick up where we left off last time in that episode 1 quick little introduction video where I told you how to navigate around your viewport with the middle mouse button and right-clicking, selecting things, and going into a few different perfect views. And now we're going to go from that, and we're going to talk about object mode and edit mode. These are your two basic modes for modeling things in Blender. And when you open up Blender for the first time to a new file, you'll see that you are basically in object mode. You can see that right here, this button down here. Object mode, and that allows you to add new things into a scene, and they are not a part of each other. It gives you a new object for each thing that you add. If you were to add something in edit mode, it would become a part of whatever you were currently editing. So let's say, don't worry too much about this, we'll go about adding things later. You have two cubes here in object mode. You'll see that I have cube 1 and cube 2, or cube and cube 0.001, 1 and 2 right there, and I can select them separately. And then let's go to edit mode. The easiest way is to hit tab. And now you see this one is selected, and I cannot right click to select this other cube. That's because in edit mode you can only select and work on one object at a time. Also, I cannot select the camera, and I cannot select that light, that lamp. All I can work on is this one object that was selected when I went into edit mode. So now let's go back down here. See, you can click on this and switch between them as well and go back to object mode. Or you can just hit tab, tab again, in and out of object mode to edit mode. So now we're in object mode. I can select this one over here, and I hit tab to go to edit mode, and now I can edit this one like that. And switching between those two allows you to create two separate things that have different properties, and that becomes important a little later on. Move this one around, do all kinds of things with it in object mode, but you're pretty limited in object mode with what you can do. I just wanted to give you an idea that most of your sculpting and work and modeling is going to happen in edit mode if you're working on one object at a time. You can set up a scene to create a render. That's your final image of your 3D model and models. That's just the picture that's created when you're finished to show off what you've made. And having a bunch of different objects allows you to place those things. Like maybe I'm going to turn this cube into an apple, and I'll turn this one into a banana, and I'll make another one to be a table. You would want those to be separate objects because they're going to act differently with the colors you put on them and with the pieces that they're going to be made out of. Something else that I want you to notice in tab mode, I could start pushing and pulling this into the shape of a banana, but there are easier ways to do that, which we'll be getting to here in just a moment. I just wanted to show you the difference between object and edit, and now let's look at some of these others. Sculpt is a little bit more advanced. You actually have to have some art chops to get into sculpting, and you have to do a couple of things that are a little more advanced as well. But you can go in there and you can click on some corners, and you'll see that they become longer. If you had more polygons to this cube, then only the polygons inside that circle would be affected. Right now we just have the top, the side, this side, and since we have so few, they're all reacting to it together because they're all kind of selected. And then we have vertex paint, weight paint, and texture paint. You're not really going to worry about too many of those to begin with, especially not in a course that's called Beginner Blender. So, I mean, that's basically all I wanted to touch on with this one. In object and edit mode, you can switch between them with tab. See, whatever you're currently in switches to edit mode. So now object, edit, and in object, you don't see any vertices, you can't switch, you can't do anything like that. You can pretty much move this around. This button here, you can rotate things. You can scale them, make them bigger or smaller. And of course, Control-Z undoes. And you can change how you see things a little bit, wireframe, rendered. But there's not too much that you can do when it really comes to modeling. So you go into edit mode, and then you can start changing some things, moving your vertices, these little points where the edges come together. You can start changing your box into what you want, or add something completely different, or attach other objects. And we'll get into that a little bit later, but this next video is going to have more about what all these buttons do. And I wanted to give a quick overview about the difference between object and edit mode. Remember, you add different objects in object mode, and then you select your object and go into edit mode to edit it. See, now that I'm in edit mode, I'm going to add a cube, and now I have two cubes that I can edit, but I can't edit this one up here. I can't select it with my right mouse button. So let's go back into object mode, and now I can select this cube, and I can select that one, but look, you can see that orange border. It's around both of these cubes. I've now selected both of them because they are part of the same object, because I added that cube in edit mode. So that's the difference. You just have to be careful where you add something, whether it's an object or edit mode. And you can fix that. We'll look at that a little later on. Like I could, now I'm back in object mode because I hit tab, I could join this box with these other two into one object, or I could separate, now I'm back in edit mode because I hit tab, or I could separate these two boxes into two separate objects. So it's something you kind of have to wrap your brain around. Objects are not one thing. They can be one thing, but most often, most of the things you're going to make are going to be composed of many different geometrical shapes that you're then going to tweak to get the right final look. A lot of times people will take this starting box and try to push it and pull it and add in extra edges and lines and polygons to make what they want, when it would be a lot easier to just add another shape like this one and attach it to this box. It's a lot easier. You don't want to do things the hard way. You have to wrap your brain around the concept that an object in Blender can be multiple different meshes, is what this is called. You can have lots of different items in one object, and once you get that concept, you'll start connecting all these different shapes together. And real quick, as a preview, here's some of the things that you can add as basic shapes. Just a plane, which is like a piece of paper, a cube, circle, which is a circular piece of paper. It doesn't even have a polygon on it. A UV sphere, which is a sphere made up of all squares. An icosphere, which is made up of all triangles. A cylinder, I mean, it's a cylinder, and a cone. And there's all kinds of curves and other things that we can get into a little bit later. But that's the basic difference between object and edit mode. You can get between them with tab, and you'll be doing that a lot. See you in the next video.